everyone. Good morning from Melbourne, Australia. Good evening to my friends in the US. We will see who joins us here in a minute. I will do a little nudging of things, make sure everything's looking good. It's always a challenge, I think. Make sure everything's good. Let's see. Who's going to find me this morning? I'm actually pretty well organized today. I'm going to do a lot of stuff. Let's see who's here. I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to start talking about a couple other things that are going on. My newsletter will be going out to subscribers tomorrow, August 1st. If you do not receive emails from me and would like to, drop me a line, stick a note in comments. I will be happy to add you to my MailChimp email list, and you will get periodic things from me. It says there are 2 people watching. Let's see if I refresh here, if I can see who they are. I'm sure I'm one of them. If you're here, please say hello, and then I can tell. In my newsletter, there will be some information for upcoming events, not only my regular monthly card class and my monthly, I call them specialty classes, but they are often technique classes. For example, this Saturday, I'm doing a Fun Folds class. That would be my second Fun Folds class, and it's still open for reservations through tomorrow. So if you're in the Melbourne area or plan to be in the Melbourne area on Saturday or can get to the Melbourne area on Saturday, you're welcome to join for that class. Just go to nancysniftynotes.com and hit on the classes and events, and you'll get to my calendar and you can RSVP there. But I want to start giving word to people here in Australia. The first Saturday in October is World Card Making Day. This is a global event, and last year I was sitting here in my very, very empty craft room, being sad because I wasn't doing an event. So this year I am happy to bring back my Cards for a Cause free event in the US. My friends and I would get together and make cards to donate to a pediatric unit in a hospital where one of my customers was a nurse. Here in Melbourne, I have teamed up with the Royal Children's Hospital Foundation, and the cards that we make on this day will be donated to them, and they have various auxiliary groups that operate a gift shop in the hospital, and each auxiliary has sort of a different focus, whether it's raising money for research or for in specific areas or for equipment or whatever their focus is. But each day a different auxiliary mans the shop, and the proceeds from that day benefit their auxiliary fundraiser. But we'll be putting cards into their shop for them to sell and thereby support the Royal Children's Hospital. So Stampin' Up! Has sent me a huge box full of retired supplies that we'll be using some of them to make some of the cards, and the rest of them will be given away as door prizes. So that's going to be awesome fun to see who gets what. There are some great stamp sets and papers and embellishments. We'll put together some neat packages for those. And it should be fun. We'll have some refreshments, and you can drop in, drop out whenever you want, and it should be a good time. So that's on the 5th of October, which is Saturday, from 1 to 5 at my apartment in central Melbourne. So if you're available, you'd be able to come do that. Hi guys, I see there are some people here. Here's Wendy and Chrissy. Thank you. If you're in Australia, but you're not local to Melbourne, but you would like to come to this, let me know, because I have 2 to 3 beds available and plenty of bathrooms. So I'm happy to put people up overnight if they want to come. So let me get rid of that one. And then the other thing I wanted to draw your attention to that I'm starting to promote is I've got a whole series of Christmas classes coming up, starting Saturday, November 2nd with my annual Stamp-A-Stack. This is another one I was sad I wasn't able to do last year. This is making 5 each of 5 designs, so 25 cards for $50. And yeah, that's a fun event. You come in and you get a packet with all your supplies and you just craft away until you're done. And then I've got a couple other kit or product-based classes coming up in November, early December, from the holiday catalog. So here's a little sneak peek. If you haven't seen the holiday catalog, we'll make some cards using some Memories and More cards like I did on my Facebook Live last week. But we'll have one of their note card packs. This time they're red with some white stars, and we'll put together 20 cards from that Memories and More pack, and you'll have more of the cards to take home and do some other projects with. I've got a class where we'll put together their really cute advent calendar called Christmas Countdown, and it's something that you'd be able to pack away and use again in subsequent years, but they've got little drawers where you can have treats or maybe suggestions of family activities like a craft project or a book to read together or something. It doesn't always have to be sugary treats. And then the first week of December, as we're getting ready with all of our prezzies, it's a gift tag class. The kit makes 30 tags, and I'm giving people the option of doing either the full kit or a half kit, because sometimes we just don't need 30 tags in a given year. So that's fine. I imagine I'll get a couple people who can split a kit. So that's going to be available. This flyer is available on my newsletter that comes out tomorrow. You'll be able to print it out, take a look, and RSVP to whichever one you want. And there are a lot of different sessions. I've got 5 daytime sessions and 4 evening sessions, I believe, for each of these kit product-based classes. And I don't care if one person comes or 8 people come to any particular session, but several of them have a minimum number of people total to be able to hold the class. So if you're thinking about it, don't hesitate to sign up. I need to get prepayment in advance because I need to order supplies in advance on these. So, okay, now we've got some people here. I'll stop droning on about these. Ask me if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. Okay, so today I'm going to do some playing and experimenting with heat embossing on designer series paper. We do it a lot on cardstock. It's a great effect. We love it. But we don't often do it directly on designer series paper. So I wanted to show you some different effects and different ways of using it. And so I started playing around, and I'll do some of it live here and some of it I will just show you some examples. But this is a piece of the Perennial Essence designer series paper, and I this is the first thing I did when I was playing. I just wanted to show you. I used the Floral Essence stamp set, and I took this image and I stamped it in Versamark and sprinkled it with Whisper White embossing powder. I did it in Whisper White Craft ink with Whisper White embossing powder. And then I did it in Versamark first, and then I tapped it several times on my Petal Pink ink pad. It doesn't hurt the ink pad at all because Versamark is totally clear, and stamped it, and then did clear embossing powder on top of that. Sorry, I need to shift a light here so I can actually see when you guys are commenting. So there we go. Hi, Nikki. And I think I saw, yep, there's Sarah's here. Hello. This is, simple line art. I wanted to show you the different effects on this Petal Pink. It's a very subtly colored, designed, patterned, there we go, paper. So some of these where I'm just showing you examples, I'll work on in the next few days and make some cards, and then in my blog post next week I'll show you what, if anything, I made with some of these. So that's the first thing I did with the floral essence. And then I pulled out these more solid stamps and these leaves, and played with those. This is some Garden Lane Designer Series paper, and the patterns are really pretty. As I've said, a lot of them are just very, very green, and lots of different greens all together. I believe this is supposed to be mint macaron and mossy, printed with mossy meadow, and just sometimes it's just very, very green. But I stamped this. This is Whisper White and embossed with the Whisper White embossing powder. And somehow it just sort of, I think it lifts it. I could add a sentiment, either stamping directly on there or putting it on a label and popping it up. Or I think I might just leave this as a plain note card. I like that. A simple note card to send to somebody. And again, I didn't put anything in the center of the flowers. I just really like this. I think it worked well. And in fact, what I do is I stamp the two flowers and this set of leaves and this leaf, and I heat set it and went back and I thought it needs something else. So then I added these two, and it didn't hurt it at all to get a second layer of embossing powder and another round of heat setting. It worked just fine. So yeah, I was pleased with that one. So I will put that away and pull out my next set of examples and things to do. Oh yeah, so I love this. I love this particular pattern. So I wanted to do some with black. This is the Enjoy Life stamp set. I'll put that over here. And yeah, I've liked this. When it came out last year, I bought this right away because I really like the set. I haven't done so much with it, but I like it's sort of empowering. Not even sort of, but I like the empowering message. Especially wake up, kick butt, repeat, because I sometimes have to remind myself of that when I wake up in the morning. And yeah, I love this particular pattern in this particular paper. But all of this paper, I mean, it's called See a Silhouette, so it's designed to be used with silhouettes on it. And we're going to do another one later on with that too. So that's the embossing. When you heat emboss on the Designer Series paper, it's a little more likely to warp. But I did find that when I glued it down, it seemed to do pretty well. And I started, like I did on the other one, just putting it right on the note card. But I decided that back with the black embossing, backing it with some black, was going to be have a bigger impact, more impactful. How's that for a current term? So I'm not going to take time to glue that right now. But then I've started looking at these two stamps, another couple of silhouettes. When I first started out with Stampin' Up, I think it was Serene Silhouettes. I missed that set. That was just a great, botanical silhouette images, and I love that one. So I was happy to see these here. And I tried them. This is some more of that Verdant Garden. And so this is just a scrap that I played with. And I liked how that came out. This was just my test piece. I started with doing this same thing, exactly the same on this paper, but I tried embossing it with the white shimmer embossing powder, and between the very fine lines and the very busy pattern, it was just like, no, it's just a splotch of glitter. We don't know what that is. But with the black, I think it works. So we're gonna try building a scene on a bigger piece, do some actual stamping. And these are photopolymers, so and I'm working kind of off the edge or right at the edge. So I've got my foam mat, but I'm putting it underneath my grid paper here, just so I don't get Versamark all over my pad. And I've got my stamps and my Versamark, and I'm gonna start with, hi Trish. I'm trying to get it pretty inky because I want it, it's going to take me a minute to get all the way across the page. And I'm starting off the left edge just a bit and up from the edge just a bit. I want to be able to get plenty of embossing powder to stick on there. And you can see, it's very hard to see. I just tip it into the light to kind of see where it is. If they overlap a little bit, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's very natural. So they don't have to line up in a straight line. They can overlap a little bit. Just trying to at least roughly get it. And yeah. I just find I look at this paper and I sometimes struggle with figuring out how to use it. Some patterns more than others. So we'll see as the year goes on what we come up with. Okay, so let's start over here. This one I am trying to line up a little bit more. Okay, gotta get those put away. We do not want embossing powder on our Versamark pad. So when I'm using embossing powder, I like to store it in a container other than the little itty bitty one that it came in. This is probably 2 little containers worth of embossing powder together. Either I had 2 of them or I was expecting to do a lot, and I just realized, of course, I didn't use my embossing buddy before I did this, but we should be good, or we'll see. see some stray up there. Yeah, we're pretty good. Okay. You can see I've got this extra piece of paper, and what I try to do is I pre-crease it so that it's easier to get it back in. And gone. Hopefully this won't be too noisy. I still want that under there. Keep chatting to me. We'll keep talking. You can see it's starting to curl up a bit, and I'll show you if we go from underneath too. It's still heating everything from underneath, but it helps curl it back again. So I kind of go back and forth, and I don't worry about it on cardstock so much. There, it's starting to turn, but on designer series paper where it tends to buckle like that. There we got that part. Is this being really loud? Is the camera picking up a lot of? Because I can do it off camera and bring it back to show you if that's better. But you need to tell me. Oh, I see. It's focusing on my very dry hands. Lucky you guys. No, not at all. Thank you, Nikki. Trying to get the last little bit of it there. Okay, let's call that good. You can see this one little bit still. So if you haven't tried heat embossing, it's just really magical fun. You can see it went from this very dry powder coated to very shiny plastic looking. I think I like that. And again, I was thinking something like that, and either on mint macaron or white base, but again, I'm not going to take time to put it together here on camera. So, what do you think of that one? I'll put that away and we will move on. Okay, what do we have next? Okay, this is one where I haven't I've pre-planned but not pre-tried. So this is Silhouette Scenes. Sorry. And so it's part of the Sia Silhouette bundle, and remember I did a couple of cards with these papers. And the backside just looks like our, like they just played around with either Brusho's, that looks more like Brusho colors, or the color sprinkles. I'm doing a class with that in the first Saturday in September. So you get to see some stuff with that. And it looks like they played around and made some pretty sheets and then photographed them and put them on the back of these. Actually, it looks like they did these with the pigment sprinkles too. Anyhow, I think I'm going to use this piece today. And these 3 kids out of this set. And the sentiment that reads, life was meant for good friends and great adventures. So, again, I'm just pulling my foam mat under here. Actually, I can have it right on top because we're not stamping off on this one. And I kept debating about whether I wanted this one white or black. And I think I'm going to go with black again. So I'm going to use my Versamark ink. And just having looked at this paper, I have kind of an idea of what I want to do. This is these stamps first inking. So here we go. This is the girl pointing up to things in the sky. And I can just see where she is. This boy who's got the telescope. And this one with the toy airplane. Because these are more solid. I mean, the others were solid too, but they're more robust images. I can actually see them a bit on the dark and the more solid parts of the pattern. Oh, and then I think I was gonna put this right down there. Let's see how this goes. Whoops, wrong basket. And again, I forgot my embossing buddy, but we'll make it work. And the black again. Yeah, I did a nice bit of stuff with the brushos the first year they were out, Wendy, and I'm looking forward to playing with the pigment sprinkles and seeing how they compare. Nikki, this is the Sia Silhouette pattern designer series paper, the one that I did with that Taylor tag punch. Facebook Live, you might remember. Ooh, yeah. That's going to be cool. Okay, let's see how this one changes. The last example. Uh-oh. Oh, I think that was part of the Verdant Garden. You're talking about this one? That's Verdant Garden. There's the other side of that one. And once I have my heat tool warmed up from one or two of these, it doesn't take so long to change them, which is great. There we go. There's that last little bit. What do you think? It also kind of reminds me of A Wrinkle in Time. You know that book? It kind of feels like they're standing on a little bit of solid ground or a planet and looking up. Anyhow, I like that, and I will figure out a neat way to mount that into a card. So there's that one. Oh, lovely. You get to see my belly. Okay, so I had mentioned the, well, before I pull out that one, because then it's just going to be a big mess, I think. So I went to my shelf yesterday and was looking at stamp sets that I thought might work for this technique. So I wanted to show you a couple of them. This isn't a solid silhouette, but I think these trees in particular, maybe that one, would work well with this technique. I haven't played with that one yet. Obviously that flower would, but I think that would be really cool, depending on the paper. It might need a more subtle one than a bolder one, just because it's so open. And then there are several things like the chair, obviously the blossoms and the leaves, I think would work well. I think the snowflakes could work well too, again, if it's a more subtle designer series paper. So those are some other possibilities that I pulled off my stamp shelf yesterday. But just take a look and see what you've got on your shelf to play around with. And, you know, we always save all these smaller bits of designer series paper, just sure that we're going to do something with them. And I found them useful to play with yesterday when I was trying to figure out what might work. So here's one. I did you can see it. I'm going to try bringing it a bit closer and see if you can see it better. Sorry, it takes me a minute for me to follow along with my live feed to see what is actually showing. There we go. We were on, we were off. And so this is Dandelion Wishes. And this is one that I did with the white shimmer embossing powder. Now, I think the black shimmer would be even more striking on a lot of these. The white, again, it's hard to show up sometimes. And there's so much shimmer in it that sometimes it just doesn't show up so well. But I think we're going to play a little bit and try it here on a bigger piece of this same paper. Just to see. Yes, the snowflakes would look good in white shimmer. Again, if they show up, again, because the lines are so fine, I think sometimes it can be hard for them to show up, but you just have to play and see. So that's why having some little scraps to try them out on is good. But I'm going to try doing some with the bigger dandelion stamps. And I'm going to stamp these. Whoop, there went my light. See if I can get that repositioned. There we go. If I'm using white anyway in the embossing powder, I think the white just perhaps helps it be a little more boldly white. Does that make sense? It also helps you see where you stamped, which is going to be useful to me here. So do that one. And I'll get this one inked up. This one I want to do. Well, I guess we're going to do it kind of like that. Oh, it didn't quite. Well, that's okay. That's where it blew away from. This is an experiment, right? Get those out of the way. Let's see how messy this is. And part of the reason I'm complaining about the mess is because I haven't yet gotten a plastic container for this embossing powder. So, and then the glitter just goes everywhere. So, I will get a container. I just haven't. So, let's see. And I didn't bring my brush over. Let me go grab that. Sorry. You know the trick of having just a dumb old paintbrush. It could be one of those kitty brushes. It helps you get stray embossing powder off where you don't want it. There we go. And then, see, this one has its own sheet of extra folded grid paper. There we go. So if you come to my classes and I'm like, oh, don't clean up, just leave it. It's because I look and see whether I can use any of your grid paper for this. If they've got too much adhesive on them, then I pitch them, but other times I reuse them. So, okay, let's see how this one embosses. Now with this embossing powder, I did find sometimes it's harder to tell when it has turned. I've got pretty intense light here so I can see, but it's not bubbling, but the glitter kind of moves and sinks in. Yeah, the more intense light here helps. It's kind of dark over where my embossing tool, heat tool, is usually. Can see it changing. So there I don't know if you can see what's changed and what hasn't. And if you can see the glitter moving. So I noticed that when I watch the replay, I find that it's much sharper. A much sharper picture than when it's live. So if you ever want to go back and see in more detail, that might be a good thing to do. And part of that's because I save it and upload it in HD. And this, I don't know what it's broadcasting in when it goes live. I imagine not HD so much. I think this needs a little more. Just for bandwidth. It probably does it in lower resolution. It's probably hard to compress it on the fly, but what do I know? Okay. So, this, what do you think? So I was thinking about sentiments. Sorry, I can't think and talk at the same time. So, looking for a card base here. Just to sort of get an idea of a layout, whether it's what I actually wind up doing in the end or not, I don't know yet. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about this. This might be wishes for a lifetime of love and happiness, or sending well wishes your way and figuring out exactly where to put it. This one I think is gonna get put on a label and popped up. Maybe that's not the prettiest right there, so it might go up in this corner. It might go across there to kind of hide that those aren't all one thing. I don't know. If you have ideas, you can put them in the comments and I'll look at those before I create and figure it out. Oh, I had one more idea of something to try, so let's pull that out. I didn't make too much of a mess with that glitter. That's good. So, this one, I thought about the two daisy stamps, and I just pulled out the large punch that coordinates with both of these, and a piece of this this is more Perennial Essence. Again, I wanted something that had a light and fairly subtle pattern, and so this flower is more open and this one has more lines on it, but I thought we would try both of them and see how they work on this paper. So there's that one. And this, obviously this one's photopolymer, and I have not used my photopolymer cleaner on it. So I don't know how much of that old staining is going to come out, but we'll see. Be a good experiment for that. And that's the new Daisy Lane. And because we've got a photopolymer there, I think we're going to try it in the Whisper White, because I'm going to emboss it in the Whisper White. Thought about this, so I'm going to stamp another one with this one. See if I can get it lined up here. So I'm getting that center hole lined up with one of these daisy centers on the paper. That should be fun to play with. So let's see what we came up with here. Embossing paper back in, bring the white back in. You need to buy more of the Designer Series paper of the Perennial Essence. Yeah, it is so pretty. I got my second roll of the that pink, the petal pink striped organdy ribbon. I never run through ribbon like I did on that one. And I don't even think that I'm much of a pink person, but this paper has just made me, this one and the Bird Ballad. Yeah. I've used more pink. Okay, time to emboss. Yeah, I thought maybe if I played around with experimenting, it would make you guys a little more willing to trial things, you know. Pull stuff out of your stash and see what you get. Because there's all kinds of different effects. I didn't even pull out my metallic embossing powders today. But just think about that on some of the things for Christmas or other things. That would be really fun too. Okay. So those are pretty cool. And I think it's going to be really neat to see them once they're punched out here. So let me get rid of this messy sheet. And let's see what we got. Remember when you're stamping to point your daisy so you've got a petal right at the edge or pointing straight at the edge where you're going to insert it into your punch. Oh yeah. And that'll make it much easier to line up really with your punch. Part of it is the light. I'm kind of looking into these lights that make things bright enough for you to see, but I'm kind of blinding myself as I do it. Yeah, I thought maybe that one's nice, but it covers up the designer series paper quite a bit. Yeah, I would probably make a third one here and do a set of 3 on a card. This one, it's stamped and embossed really nicely. I'm pleased with that on a technical aspect, but the designer series paper is covered up too much. So I probably would not do that, but I would do another one of these and group them on a card. I would do that very happily. And I might do something where you didn't see that one so much, and I'd try to, again, get a daisy center in the middle there. Yeah, you'll have to tune back into my blog to see what I do with this. I'm very pleased with that one. Cool. So that gives you some ideas of embossing with onto the designer series paper. I hope you liked it. Yeah, no, I thought it would be fun to punch them out, and that's really cool. It almost looks like it's a tie-dyed effect. Even, well, I suppose it would be interesting to see it on one of these brighter ones too. Like that one, that one. I could see it on there. That would be really... Put those daisies on here and punch them out. Especially, people have been layering them up and trimming them off so that they're more like, Now I'm losing. Sorry, I'm losing my, what I'm trying to, Gerbera. There we go. Gerbera daisies in the brighter colors. That would be pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, here are various examples of things to do with the designer series paper and embossing powder. And yeah, Trish sent me some pictures of things that she made last week, or she sent them last week after I put out my call. I'd love to see other things that you guys are doing. You can send me links to your blog or send me pictures. I just love seeing what people are doing. I subscribe to I don't know how many blogs, but yeah, so that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you take a look at my class offerings, especially if you're local. But if you're not local and you decide you want to come hang out, if you want to come to World Card Making Day, let me know. Like I said, I've got beds. One of them's even in my craft room, so you could, craft late into the night and then crash when you are ready. Not disturb anybody. So anyhow, I will see you guys next week. If you have any requests or suggestions of things that I do live, let me know and I will put those onto the schedule. Yep. Great. Talk to you later. Bye.